having a couple of drinks after this, more than what we've already had. We all know we're here to celebrate a beautiful life of Beatrice Bourke, our Queen Bee, who came into a lot of our lives at different times. I met Beatrice about, I'll put it this way, I was probably in baby nappies and I'm probably due to go into adult nappies pretty soon. So that's how long I've known Bee. Bee brought me into her family not by blood, but she included me in everything. She included me in every celebration of her children's lives. Alison, Barry, Darren, the grandkids, and Paddy was a fabulous, fabulous husband. Took care of Bee, as you all know. I met Bee in Galloways probably 30 years ago. She came in with one of her friends, Greta, and we kind of hit it off. The past few years, as we all know, has been a tough road for Bee. She suffered through it and she really never complained. She didn't. And I remember during COVID, one of the times she was in the hospital, I think Paddy said to me, Helena, you're not going to get into the hospital. And Bee said, mark my words, she'll find her way to get in. And I did. We spent many a time in the Dublin room in Central Islip, and Paddy extended his home in Florida to a wonderful Dublin room. She brought in computer associates, I believe, to Galway's, and she continued to bring them in to Grafton Street. Bee was a very, very good friend, and I'm going to miss her tremendously. She has 3 beautiful grandchildren. She always spoke highly. She was very proud of Declan for his soccer or football, Riley for her dancing, and we have the little fellow over there, Hudson, who she adored, with his little swimming. I just want to say I'm very, very honoured and blessed to have had Bee in my life, in my family's life, and the fact that Paddy took the time to have her celebration of life here at my business. So raise a glass to Bee, please. And I'm going to pass you over to Paddy. Thank you.
My God, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Thank you all for coming, obviously. Beatrice loved Grafton Street. Anytime I come up here, Grafton Street was number 1. Onto Helena, make sure you get the CA gang over here. And everybody came every time to see her. I was thinking of things to say and write down and all that kind of stuff, and then I said, don't forget about all that stuff. So I'm going to tell you how it was from the beginning. 1962. I walked into a pub with 3 friends of mine, and we sat down, and across the road, across from us, was these 3 girls sitting. So after a while I was looking and I said to my friend Ollie, I said, see her, I'm going to marry her. 7 years later we got married. And I often said to myself, 7 years, I said to myself, I must have broken a mirror when I was young. 7 years, bad luck waiting that long. But anyway, that's another story. I have a big family, 9 sisters, 2 brothers. Mommy and Daddy died very young, and we had to look after each other. But anyway, getting back to Beatrice, she was some woman, beautiful looking girl. I don't know how I talked her into marrying me. I guess it was the look of the Irish. Special people, CA, she actually loved me. Actually, it's ironic that CA, Beatrice passed away, CA closed. Not only did they close with it, they knocked it down to the ground. I wonder how she had to do with that. If I'm not there, nobody else is going to be there. But I can't remember all their names, but her special friends, John Bush. she used to come home and tell me, John Bush was here, John Bush said this, John Bush. And she never called him John, even to this day. And they come and visit us down in Florida, we'd be out for dinner, and she'd turn around to him, John Bush, what do you think? John Bush. And I never knew this guy for a while, for the longest time. Who's this John Bush fella off the time? Then we came down and we met him here in Grafton Street. I want to thank Elena actually and Linda for making Grafton Street our second home, really. And this was like Dublin, you know. We left America. I left Dublin for America, and Beatrice said, "I'll give her 5 years." And anyway, you know what happened there. But the truth be known, both Beatrice and myself, we never left Dublin. Never left it. So I brought her home last year to see her brother. And he was 91, and I said, I better bring, he's the last of the family, just the two of them. I said, bring her home, and in case something happens to him. So she ended up in hospital over in Ireland for 3 months. It was a disaster anyway. But she saw him, and she was happy with that. And yeah, she loved her grandkids, that's for sure. She's glad that she got to see them all, got to see all her children married. All have great jobs, thank God, all have their own homes, thank God. And when I came to America first, I came over here a couple of years, going back and forth. And I often think to this day, I'm sorry I did that, really. But it turned out good for everybody because we're all happy here. Let me take it right here.
The best thing you ever did.
That's what they keep telling me, it's the best thing you ever did. And the reason I came over with my sister, Audrey, better known as Auntie A, over there.
Auntie A.
Give her a round of applause. She set us all up, 10 stepping stone present. It was like the Plaza Hotel, believe me. Other great friends, Beatrice, always had great crack. Great crack is fun, by the way, if any of you don't know that. I know what you think, Beatrice is on the drugs. So they had great crack. Richie Boyle, there he is right there. Every time they came up, Richie was always here to see her. And he was telling me that they had laughed every day in the job, they'd have something to laugh about. And then our other friend, Bonnie Smith, is right here. Bonnie not only was our great friend, but she moved down beside us. She lives beside us in Florida. Sterling Village, we have a few more Sterling Village friends down there too. Kate is here on Kelly down there. And I have to say the best friend I ever had in America is here too. Sean McDermott. The best friend I ever had here. And Sean lived up here. He had to get out of his house, so he stayed with us for a couple of weeks. And he'd come in and Beatrice would give him a nod and a wink. That meant to go out and get a few beers. So we had a great life. We had our ups and downs, of course. I'm not going to stand here and say, we never had a row. You hear people saying that? We never had an argument in your life. What planet are you on? You know? But all in all, we had a great life. No matter how long it is, it's always too short, you know. So, Beatrice loved you all. She loved her CA family. She loved all her friends. She loved going up there. And she said us, when we moved to Florida, she always tells us this story too. She says, I retired on Friday, and he had my arse over here on Monday. So we were from down there. But all I can say to you, thank you again for all being bloody kind, and enjoy life and love everybody. Thank you. Now I'd like to call up who has been the rock of our family for all through this. She's been the rock. Mommy would love you for that, I know that. She'd be very proud. Alice, my daughter.
I'm the opposite. I wrote everything down. Because public speaking is not the thing that I love to do. So bear with me as I get through all of this. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Allison, Beatrice's youngest and only daughter. And for all of you that do, I'll take my usual after this. So a few things I'd like to share about my mom. Mom was born on July 23rd, 1945 in a small town called Ballyboden on the south side of Dublin. She was the first girl after 5 boys, to which she always said she could do no harm. 5 years later, she got a baby sister, Helen, who was the best friend of her life. She always talked favorably about her childhood. They were simpler times filled with mostly innocent fun. But she was brought home by a local policeman once or twice for stealing apples from the local orchard. One fateful night and a last-minute change in plans led her to meeting a fella from the north side of Dublin, aka my dad. Back in those days, dating someone on the north side was a real long-distance relationship. But my dad was smitten and tracked as many miles as necessary to court her. The years went on and they went on to get married, and she moved to Ardmore, a town on the north side of Dublin. He actually converted her, where they had 3 children. The oldest is my brother Darren over here, who later on she got to call the professor. The middle one is this guy over here, Barry, who gave her the first grandkids, so he was the golden child. And then came me, who she eventually called her doctor. They were also so blessed with another 2 boys and girl when their grandchildren came. Declan over here is the oldest, the footballer. Riley is the second, the great dancer. And then my little guy came along, Hudson. Mom and Dad were together for 62 years and were married just shy of 55. She'd always tell people, he's the quiet one, which I'm sure you're all realizing now is definitely the truth. Our early days were spent in Ardmore, where Mom made lifelong best friends, as we all did. Those were some of her best days, she'd always say, but a big move was on the horizon. On March 28, 1987, our family headed across the pond and landed at JFK Airport to start a new life in New York. This was a huge change, to say the least, and she certainly left a huge part of her heart there, but she sacrificed to make a better life for all of us. It took her ages to adjust, and I'd venture to say she never fully did. As they say, you can take the girl out of Dublin, but you can't take Dublin out of the girl. Yeah. However, I knew we were Americanizing when she stopped sending me to school with banana and butter sandwiches for lunch. I had to beg her to stop that one. Mom was a people person and loved having the crack. And as you just heard my dad say, and if you've been hanging around our family for a while, you know I don't mean drugs. She was very good at reading people. She appreciated genuine, kind-hearted people who loved to have a laugh. If she loved you, she loved you. If she didn't, well, as she'd say, you're all right in your own way. She was a very strong and proud Dublin woman. She loved Ireland and the Irish so much. Everywhere we'd go, we managed to meet someone from Ireland, and of course find the Irish pub. I mean, who goes to Italy and asks to go to the Irish pub to go eat? Mom did. She lived for phone calls back home to her family and her friends, and she worked very hard to ensure frequent trips back there. She'd always say there's nothing like being with your own kind. One time when she was visiting me in Florida, We stopped into a local Irish pub called Sláinte. One of the bartenders I knew there was from Dublin, so we were chatting with him. But he wasn't a typical proud dub. He was one of these guys that didn't like Ireland anymore, was glad that he left, and he was shit-talking it. Well, you can imagine my mom's reaction about that. He loved Italy more. And she turns to me and said, he's a right gobshite. And the other bartender came over to us and was chatting with us, and he had his Irish accent going. Next of all, he put 2 shot glasses down on the bar, said, right, next drink's on me. Mom looked at me and said, see, there's a proper Irishman. 10 minutes later, he confessed he was from Costa Rica. We had loads of laugh with him, and when she moved down, she would always go visit him. Because that was Mom. When she liked you, she was loyal. Mom was a very funny woman too, even when she didn't mean to be. She mispronounced words, had her own language, mixed up songs and sayings all the time. I'm sure many of you have probably understood half of what she said. She was brutal with directions. When she was in Florida, she'd always tell us, oh, we're going down to New York, and vice versa. When her and my dad visited me in Italy, we went to Pisa for the day. We were having tea in the square, and she looked at us and said, you're not going up in that thing, it's crooked, the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And then someone asked her a question on the bus in Rome, and she said, sorry, me no speak the English. And that wasn't on purpose. Growing up, our house was the mecca for friends to hang out in. Mom and Dad threw great parties where all were welcome. Our friends loved coming over as they got a slice of another culture, her famous Irish stew, and you'd be lucky if there were any dumplings left in it, and a dose of B's tell it like it is humor. You definitely had to watch her cigarettes back then in her smoking days, because she was definitely known to rob a few from friends when she was out. Even when my brothers and I moved out, our friends frequently stopped over to shoot the shit with her. She loved her music and her dancing too, things she definitely instilled in all of us. If you stopped by on a Saturday, you'd be likely to find her and me cleaning away to the likes of Tina Turner, Joe Dolan, or some good time rock and roll. My mom always said she wasn't going out of this world until I was happily married and a mother. She certainly kept her promise, and I certainly kept her waiting long enough because I never wanted her to go. So let's raise our glass for my beautiful mother. I love you forever, Mommy. Rest peacefully up there with all your family and friends. Watch over us until we meet again. Thank you all for coming.
Okay, thanks, Six. That's it, now maybe proud.
You go back to Deco, I know you do.
Wrote some.
Do you want to say
Hi, like you don't know me. Anyway, as we move along, one of Mommy's greatest friends from CA, who always came to visit us in here in Grafton, and happily enough to say down in Florida. They've been in our house, they've been in the famous Dublin room, and I forget his name, what is it? John Bush.
Thank you, Patty. I told Patty I would keep my remarks under 45 minutes, so I hope all of you appreciate that. But one thing that was said when we were talking about being Patty and their relationship, they would have been married 55 years this past Friday, June 28th, and if B was still with us. So just something to keep in mind and appreciate. Patty, you can see from the turnout that B was loved by so many people, and she was a very special person. And some wonderful things have been said. But I worked with B at CA, and you know, from my perspective, she was always cheerful, and she was also very good at remembering everybody's names. And on top of it, you immediately knew she was a special person because she was charming, she had her Irish wit, she had her smiling eyes, and how could you not appreciate her beautiful Irish brogue? So, I mean, people were just attracted to B because she was such a wonderful person. Now on the flip side would be, what you saw is what you got. She didn't care what your rank or title was at CA. She treated everybody with the utmost respect. And earlier, Rich Tedesco was talking to my wife, Kathy, who I also co-signed Kathy, and it said that, you know, the President of the United States could be online, and if he tried to cut, B would have put him in his place. So, but B also had another gift, that regardless of what was going on in her own life, she had the ability to put a smile on your face, and you'd forget about your own problems, at least for the time you were talking to her, and you know, you'd walk away happy. B was a remarkable person. And I consider myself blessed because I had a very special relationship with B. When I was downstairs and I would be ordering my tuna melt, I would always give B a compliment, hoping that she would either give me a little extra tuna or maybe an extra slice of cheese on the sandwich. And I'd start off by saying, B, you look ravishing in your Sodexo uniform. And your hairnet is especially complimented. So B would always turn around and say, mind your manners, John Bush. And as Patty mentioned, I was John Bush, not Bush, but always Bush. But she put me in my place. Now, I don't want to shock anybody, and it was mentioned earlier, but the people in global security love coming to Grafton Street. And we were here, not every Friday, but we came here frequently. And then we would also try to think of an excuse why we could come on one of the other work days of the week. So, like one thing, like today, I don't know if anybody knows this, but today is National Watching Meteor Day. So, I mean, it's a, you know, a national holiday, a national day. I'll drink to that. So, we had a lot of fun with it. But then everybody in my department loved B as much as I did. So we were coming to Grafton on a Friday, and I asked her, would you like to join us? Well, B was ecstatic, because the next thing you know, she's talking, bragging to like all the people at CA about, I got asked out by a younger man. So, and everybody got a laugh out of it, except one person. And I'll go into that a little bit later. But, and then, as we went along in our relationship, one night, B and I were here. St. Catherine came to meet us, Patty came to meet us. We had a wonderful evening, had a great time, and then Patty confided in me that at home, he would say, who the hell is this bleeping guy, John Bush? Because B would talk to me at home. But out of that became a better friendship. And Patty, and Kathy and I became very close with Patty and B. And we would come to Grafton on New Year's Eve to celebrate the Irish New Year's. And it was great because everything would be over, you know, well, 7 o'clock in New York is midnight in Shannon or Dublin, so you'd see the festivities over there. We'd be done 8:30 at night. I'd be home, I'd be in bed at 9 o'clock, and at my age, 9 p.m. is the new midnight. So it was a home run. But one thing is, Kathy and I were always honored because when we came here, we always sat with Patty's family. And it just made us feel special. And we want to thank you guys for just, it was heartfelt and so much appreciated that you guys embraced us as if we were your own. And the hospitality was great. When B and Patty could no longer travel to New York, when we went to Florida to see our children and grandchildren, we would go down to visit them. We'd go out to eat, we'd have a few laughs, we'd have a great evening. And again, with B, I mean, the Irish, her beautiful Irish brogue, you know, her smiling eyes. B never lost any of that. She was a trooper to the end, and we had some great laughs. And I have to tell you how wonderful Patty was, because he took care of B unbelievably. He catered and tried to anticipate what she would need or what she wanted to do next. And I gotta tip my hat to you, because you were a wonderful husband, Patty. And I admire you, sir. You know, the world was a much more beautiful place with being in it. And I know we're all gonna miss her, and she'll forever be in our hearts. With that said, in closing, I mean, what can we say we all learned from having being fortunate enough to have B in our lives? And I'd like to think that B would love it if we lived our life by living hers by example, by respecting people and just enjoying life to its fullest. And that was what B was all about. In closing, I think it's appropriate that we toast B with an Irish blessing in her memory. So I'm going to ask you to please raise a glass. And a lot of you will know this blessing, so I'll ask you to say it along with me. May the road rise to meet you. May the winds always be at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. The rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. So I'll get my drink. Thank you very much. We have a fellow CA employee that's going to come up that knew B very well and share some comments. Doug Bourke. It's all yours.
Hi guys, my name is Doug Wald. I met Beatrice on March 30th, 1992. I remember that day because it was my very, very first day at CA, and I worked for Charles, the CEO, and I worked for Sanjay, the president of the company. I was a kid, I didn't know anybody in the company, just got hired, and Sanjay whipped me around the building to meet all the executives. So that's Arnie Mazer that runs sales. That's Pete Schwartz, who's our CFO. That's the person that runs travel. That's the person that runs IT. That's the person that runs development. All right, let's go down to the cafeteria. We go down to the cafeteria. That's Mike Penner. He's the GM of the cafeteria. And that's B. And I look at B. Now, if he's telling me that I got to meet B, she's got to be meaningful and she's got to have some juice in the place. So I meet B and we hit it off. Day zero, my first day there. I was there 23 years. Had a killer run. And I would talk to B every day about life, about music, Tina Turner, Motown, rum. We both like rum. Whatever, right? And just developed this unbelievable kinship and friendship with her. She was the confidant of so many people at the company. You know, Rich, Bonnie, you know, John, John mentioned, no matter what rank, no matter what title, no matter what capacity in the company, she was approachable, kind, always accessible, and she was like a calm in the sea of chaos. That place was chaotic. It was a great company, unbelievable, but that place was on fire all the time. And B always had that presence, you know, B was, you know, just amazing. So I'll share one quick story. Years after you guys moved to Florida, I was visiting family in Florida, and it happened to be St. Pat's. And it was after I left CA, 2015, and came down to visit Patty and B at Finnegan's in Boynton Beach, St. Pat's celebration. So we go, and there's a bunch of us, and we're having a great time, and it's St. Pat's, right? It's Florida, it's St. Pat's, we're having a blast. And spend the day, and then go back to the community. But there's about 40, 50 people playing instruments and having food and sharing food in the evening for St. Pat's. And a bunch of the musicians get together and they launch into a bunch of songs. And they're playing guitars and banjos and tambourines. It's a totally festive thing. And then they go to launch into Danny Boy. And they launch into Danny Boy. You all know the song Danny Boy. And I'm sitting with Beatrice. And they're playing a beautiful version of Danny Boy. Just rocking it. And Beatrice turns to me, she looks me dead in the face, and she goes, "I hate this fucking song." And I'll never forget it. Like, I'll never forget that moment. But would, just joyous, kind, like just one of the greatest people I ever met in my life. And speaking of music and our share of, and Allison, we talk about music all the time and concerts and stuff. And one of the things that most of you know is that, Bea loved soul music and Motown and stuff, and love Tina Turner. So raise your glass, simply the best.
Yep.
Yes.
Tina Turner, all day, every day. Love you, baby. Love you guys. Thanks for having me, and thanks for your friendship. Thanks for sharing you with us.
One of our great friends would like to say a few words. If you'd like to come up, Rich. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be quick. I knew Bea for well over 20 years. We laughed every day together. We always had a good time. What I liked most about Bea, and it's been said already, she was plain spoken, and you knew she spoke her mind.